Hello everybody, Kelly Rice here, but I write under my pen name K.M. Rice, and welcome to my author vlog. Today I'm going to break up the format a little bit, and I'm not going to give writing advice. Instead I'm going to give geek advice, con advice, based on my 6 years now of accumulated experience at San Diego Comic Con. So since this is a vlog, a while back a few viewers said that they really enjoyed my more personal episodes where I kind of was like, hey, this is what I've been doing, this is what I've been up to lately. So I thought I would switch things up a little bit and do that here and just kind of tell you what I've been up to. In San Diego, at least. So I am based in California, however I do not live anywhere near San Diego. That's still far away from me. If you know anything about California, you know it's a massive state, and I'm in the northern forested half of the state, not the desert half. So I still had to book a flight and everything and go down there. And it was very exciting for me because the book Middle-earth From Script to Screen, Building the World of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit was available for sale at the Weta Workshop booth. If you don't know who Weta Workshop is or what it is, I'm not sure which I should be saying for a company, then look them up, because if you enjoy Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Avatar, District 9, the list goes on and on of big epic films that they've been a part of, then it behooves you to find out who are the creators and the imaginative minds behind what I'm seeing and appreciating on screen. So I was there representing myself and my fellow author Daniel, who wrote the bulk of the book, and since Daniel Falconer couldn't be there and I was there, it was very exciting for me because it was not only the first time that I was anywhere where the book was actually being sold, but there were people who wanted to meet me because I had a hand in it, because I helped write it, because I've worked on more than one project at Weta Workshop before, and they, you know, it's just my fellow Middle-earth fans and my fellow geeks, and it was really exciting to meet all of you guys who I got to meet, and I was quite honored to get to sit on like the little stage thing that they have at the booth for their artists, and sit alongside my friend and mentor and amazing human being, Richard Taylor, and sign things. I think most people had no idea who I was, and that's fine. I have no idea who they are either until we meet. That's how it works. But there was a couple of you, maybe someone even watching this vlog, who someone brought up a copy of Darkling for me to sign, and that really tickled me, and I was excited, and yeah, that kind of made my con, was someone bringing one of my original works up. So I'm realizing I have to kind of lean backwards to stay out of this blinding sunlight that's going to turn me into an alien. So that was the highlight for me, and it was cool to be there representing and finally getting to, I don't know, I guess have some FaceTime or have some public association with this book that I worked on back in 2015 and was just this nebulous idea for years because the release date kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And as a Tolkien fan, you know, it was just kind of like my nerd dream come true to get to even work on this book, and then now to see that it's real enough that it's not only for sale, but people are reading it, people are interested in it, people are like, well, what parts did you do? What can you show me? And obviously have me sign it. So if you are bummed that you didn't get to have that experience, I'm bummed too. But if you are interested in my other books, remember that I am always happy to sign them for you for free and personalize them, just in case, you know, sometimes people buy them for a friend or relative or whatnot. And you can do that through my Etsy shop, and the links are in the description below. Unfortunately, I'm not selling copies of Middle-earth From Script to Screen because it is so expensive and so heavy and huge. It's like £7. So that was a big logistical concern of mine. I thought, who's actually going to buy this book? Or who already has it and is going to bring it to the convention because it is so heavy and that convention will break you anyway. Which leads me to sort of the overarching topic that is this vlog, and that is San Diego Comic-Con. For those of you who've never been or are new to hearing about it, San Diego Comic-Con is sort of the mother of all conventions. It is at least 150,000 nerds convening in the Gaslamp District at the San Diego Convention Center. No surprise, in San Diego, California. It is exhausting. It is exhilarating. It is once-in-a-lifetime experiences over and over again. My sisters described it before as a nerd Disneyland. I could definitely get behind that. It is 5 days. Wednesday is preview night, so if you get in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yes, 5 days. I only stayed until Saturday. I came home early, and it is just a madhouse. So what the experience is, well, first off, slow down. First off, you don't have to have a badge to experience San Diego Comic-Con. A lot of people don't know this, because the fight for badges is always really intense, and most people do not get them. They sell it really quickly. I was lucky enough, the only reason I got in was because I was a panelist. So, oh, I forgot, that's another highlight. My only highlight wasn't the book, it was also being on a panel with the OneRing.net, which, cue my moment to show you my shirt. I know it's not a very exciting top, but I thought it'd be appropriate because I happen to be wearing it today, and I'm talking about Comic-Con. This is a Keely and Feely dwarf shirt that was gifted to me by a friend, and it's very comfortable. So yes, I was honored to be on the OneRing.net's panel, sharing the latest information about Tolkien and Middle-earth to our fellow Middle-earth fans. Unfortunately, we were not allowed to film that panel or film really much of anything on any panel at Comic-Con, but there are some pictures, I think, floating around. And all I will say is the coming 2 years are a very exciting time to be a Tolkien fan. Those of you who know what I'm talking about will hopefully agree. We've got a new Tolkien film coming out, a biopic, and we have the Amazon series, which is going to be very exciting. But this vlog isn't about that, so I'll refrain from saying more. But that was a definite highlight as well, and we were very surprised by not only how many people came to our panel, but how many people unfortunately had to be turned away, which shows that this fandom isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and that's how it should be. But back to what Comic-Con is in general. You have the exterior, where a bunch of different networks, studios, shows, and vendors will set up outside. So that's why I'm saying you don't necessarily need a badge to experience Comic-Con. You can attend and spend all 5 days just doing outside exhibits. Some of them will ask you to have a badge, but a lot of them are just experiences for you to go through. So if you're local to the area, or if you happen to be visiting, or maybe you're so desperate that you want to go down anyway, that's a good thing you can still do even if you don't have a badge. Now if you do have a badge, as you saw in my clip that I posted on Instagram, walking into San Diego Comic-Con on Saturday, you have a badge and they have a system now where you scan it in, so you tag in and you tag out. I'm not sure why this practice started, but I think it's a good idea. Some people were complaining, however, for safety reasons, if there were ever a fire or an accident, it would give people an idea of how many folks are still in the building, how many folks are out of the building, and I'm not sure if it's advanced enough to be tied to your identity, but if it is, then that would be really helpful to first responders to know who you're looking for, who's missing. And of course to family members. But that's like dark, and hopefully something like that won't ever happen at Comic-Con, because that could end not well. But, because I was almost in a stampede at Comic-Con one year. These Game of Thrones people came out on top of a booth and like waved, and like literally I almost died. I don't even watch Game of Thrones, and like their fans almost killed me. Maybe that's why they almost killed me. I don't know. I'm digressing again, as I always do. But, so once you go in, there is the whole showroom floor. I've been told that the convention center is the length of 5 American football fields. Definitely feels accurate to myself, my aching feet, my legs, my knees, my exhausted body. The exhibit hall floor is full of booths, which are run by the major networks that you would expect, like Starz, BBC America, Showtime, Nickelodeon, NBC, ABC, movie studios like Warner Brothers, Fox, and they will be doing giveaways like posters for their shows and their films, pins, trinkets, things like that. There used to be a big hype over Comic Con exclusives. However, more and more booths seem to be doing less of that, and it's less of the physical and tangible, more of experiences, like you can get your photo taken and they'll manipulate it or whatnot. But I'd say even that was slowing down a little bit this year. That was a definite change. I didn't have too much time though to walk the floor because I was there in the capacity of my professional self. And plus I found that it was just aggravating to me when there is that many people, and you guys know where I'm from. I'm from like a rural area where I can look out my window at any given time and there are more trees. There's probably more trees and plants in what I can see out my window than people in my town. Technically. There probably are. So I am not used to the hustle and bustle. I know it's normal if you're from like New York or probably places in Chicago, probably Asia, that you're walking in such close quarters to people, you're being bumped into by people, people are full and smacking into you because they're not paying attention. The logical side of me, the socialized side of me knows that it's an accident every time it happens, but the cave woman inside, she doesn't know it's an accident. The cave woman inside each time wants to turn around and go, I'm gonna freaking smack you then. Shove you in the shoulder. You want it to escalate? Because the cave woman inside takes it as a intentional slight every time, and that this teenage boy just literally walked right into me and I should punish him for that. So it gets kind of exhausting to argue with the cave woman inside all the time and to tell her like, calm down, you're not, we don't need you here right now, this isn't a fight or flight situation. And so for that reason, I don't walk the showroom floor too much, and also because like when I go with my sister, then I'm happy to, because then I have like my best friend, my soulmate, there with me, and we have fun geeking out over things and noticing things, and she'll notice things that I won't, I'll notice things that she won't, and we can look at artists. I love looking at the artist tables. But other than that, if there's something cool, it's going to be hard for you to see it. You have to be aggressive because there'll be a crowd of people around it, and you'll be being smacked into and shoved. And like I said, the cave woman inside, she doesn't deal well. So when it was just kind of me by myself or me with a friend, it was like, this is turning into aggro, and I don't want it to be aggro. And plus, where I'm at, my state mentally and emotionally at this time of year, and this particular year, I just have nothing left. Like, I have nothing left in terms of patience in a lot of ways, because we've been going through some stuff as a family. There's been some health issues, and it's been scary. So when I'm faced with that reality and then going into just a bunch of people who are like, oh my god, it's C-3PO's toenail or something, it's like, really? Not trying to be a killjoy over geek stuff, but it's just, is that really worth smacking into other people for? And like I said, I'm just kind of depleted, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna go there. So that's another good thing to know. If you're gonna do Comic-Con and you're gonna do it in that long haul time period, try not to come in tired, try not to come in empty. Try to come in as fulfilled as possible, because the same thing happened to me last year. Again, I don't share a ton of personal stuff, but my dad was in the hospital for a month last year and he almost died. He had a systemic infection that turned into an infection in his heart. His artery failed. He had to have not emergency, but very urgent open heart surgery, and the artery had to be replaced, and then they discovered an abscess in the back of his heart that had to be repaired. And anyone who's gone through this or has a loved one who's gone through it knows that the recovery is also intense. And there were lots of complications in terms of the antibiotics they were using and stuff. So it was a stressful time, and I left that once we knew he was going to be okay and went to Comic-Con last year, and it just like, dude, it drove me into the ground. So if you're not at a very stable, secure place, it might be a lot for you. But bear in mind that I'm also saying that as someone who has a lot of people who want to talk to her, which is not a problem. I love catching up with people, with friends, with acquaintances, with meeting new people. However, if you're already in a state where, like I said, you feel like I just don't have that much left or I don't have that much to give, then that can be taxing. So the last 2 years haven't been ideal in terms of, coming in fortified. But they were still great, and I'm still happy I went each time. There were probably moments when I was really just wanted to be an introvert and have no one talk to me and have no more input, which is impossible at Comic-Con. You're always having input. And hide in a tree somewhere, but, I couldn't do that. But that's part of why I left on Saturday, because I know myself enough by now that I'm like, you have to pace yourself, you have to have, set these limits. And I have a quick turnaround time right now. I'm leaving to Ireland again in a few days for a wedding. And so you guys are going to get to see more pictures and videos and stuff from Ireland, which hopefully will be exciting. So knowing that I had that coming up, and that's a long flight, and international travel can be draining too. Anyways, I'm like sitting here whining. I'm not trying to whine. I'm trying to just provide some insight to you guys in terms of, people talk about like what they saw at Comic-Con, who they met, that sort of thing. No one talks about like the physical, emotional, and spiritual toll it can take on you or bolster you with, because there have been years before the two that I said. I mean, that's how I met Richard Taylor in the first place, was at San Diego Comic-Con. And that changed my life. That changed the entire course of my life, because he took an interest in me and wanted to see samples of my writing, and that led to work with a company that I adore, with people who I absolutely love and think are fantastic and the best in their field. And it just helped me raise the bar for myself in so many ways. And I'm eternally grateful to San Diego Comic-Con for that, and to the people who gave me those opportunities to prove myself. So there are times when it will be incredibly fulfilling. And that's kind of my story as a professional. As a fan, however, man, our first Comic-Con in 2012 was like the con to end all cons. Our favorite show at the time was Grimm, and they had set up, we were just there as fans. Like, we didn't have a web show. I'm sorry, we as in my sister and I, we didn't have a web show. We didn't have Happy Hobbit going on. I didn't have a single book out yet. I'd only been out of college for a short while, and we just got to be fans. We got to be anonymous. We went to panels, so that's the other thing. Other than the showroom floor, there are panels. Mostly upstairs, but now it's gotten so big that some will be in the hotels, in the ballrooms and not lobbies, but ballrooms and meeting rooms in the hotels, joined to the, not joined, but right next to the convention center. I don't think any are actually physically linked to it. But, so a panel is a bunch of creators and talent sharing what they're working on or what they're doing with their fans in the audience. So we were massive fans of Grimm, and we got to do this whole forest fun experience outside. We got to have like fake tattoos put on and fake wounds and stuff, and then we got into the Grimm panel, and we were sitting in a couple panels ahead of time because someone had warned us that you need to wait in line. It's like this is why it's like Disneyland. You have to wait in line for hours to get into a panel you want to see, and then you actually get into the room because they don't clear the rooms. So when one panel ends, everyone doesn't have to leave. So you get in for something beforehand, and then you're guaranteed to see that panel. And someone had also told us that try to scoot up and scoot up and scoot up each time. And we just happened to meet these really nice people in the front row who were like, hey, girls, take our seats. So we took their seats, and at our very first Comic-Con, we got to sit there and just stare at the cast and have them look back at us, which was also kind of terrifying because it's like the people you see on TV are looking at me. I'm supposed to be looking at you. This is weird. My sister almost had like an explosion. She almost like imploded when she saw her favorite character, Monroe, come out. And at the end, randomly, the lead actor had Hershey Kisses, and he was like, anyone want a Hershey Kiss? And he handed it to my sister. Like, we were like, Comic-Con's amazing, man! You get to go and just play in the imaginary world of your favorite show, and then a star gives you chocolate? This is cool! So we were naive. We didn't know that that's not the normal experience. Like, we got lucky. And I am really glad that we had, like, the most amazing fan experience that we could have at our first Comic-Con, because everyone after that was a completely different experience, because after that we had our show Happy Hobbit and it had gone viral and people would recognize us and ask us for photos, which is all super flattering and fun, but you're not anonymous anymore. You can't just be a fan. So once that dynamic shifted, I was really grateful that we had, like, the ultimate fan experience back in 2012. So now here I am 6 years later, and I could tell you I was the ultimate fan then, and now I'm very proud and excited to have been there in a professional capacity as well. I felt like a fraud, though, some of the time. And this is going to link back into writing clever. Because no matter how much success I have found as a writer, there is a part of me that always feels like, are you pitying me by being into this stuff? Are you genuinely like that into it? And I guess that's just the self-doubt that comes with being a creative. And I think with, it's just kind of human nature. But there I was sitting there, and people were meeting me and wanting to know, you contributed to this book? Can you sign this? Or I don't have the book, I have something else. Can you sign that something else? And I feel like, yeah, but a part of me feels like a little kid who's just, like, hanging out with the big kids, and I'm like, okay, but maybe they're gonna go home and they'll find out, like, I don't have a Wikipedia, and they'll be like, whose signature is this? Why do I have this? Those are the weird insecure thoughts that you have, that even when you've made it in your career to the place where people who don't even know you want your autograph because they feel like, well, you must be significant in some way, or they're there and it's convenient, whatever, then it never changes the feeling that you have of, I'm just me. Like, I'm happy. That's why I always write a message. And if any of you have gotten my autographed books, you'll know that I always write a personal message to people, because otherwise it feels odd. Like, why am I just signing my name? I'm here to connect to people and to another human being. So I will write you a little note and then sign my name so you know who the little note is from. But I'm not just going to, like, write my name and be like, there you go. That's not authentic to me. That's because when you're meeting someone, what you want is the experience, the story of meeting them, and to be able to say, oh, this is how it all went down, and here's my proof, or here's, what they gave me. You don't really care about the signature. At least, that's what I remember from my days. Though, we do still have the Hershey Kiss. The Hershey Kiss from David Gentoli, who is the star of Grimm, is still safely tucked away in an old Play-Doh container somewhere in my sister's room. I think it's like we considered eating it as part of some sort of ceremony, but I think she's kept it. And that's definitely a prized possession, so yeah. So if you want to go to panels, then you have to be willing to wait in line. If it's a really big panel, it'll be in Hall H. Hall H is a mythical place that in 6 years I've never been to, I've never even gotten close to, I've only heard stories about. Because to get into Hall H, you have to do this extravagant process of waiting in line for hours or days to get a wristband. And then once you get the wristband, then you have to wait in line again to get in. And when I first started going to Comic-Con, people would camp out overnight just trying to get in the morning, and they would bring sleeping bags, and I think people were still doing that. So you have to be really dedicated. You have to be really dedicated if you want to get into Hall H. And there's just nothing really that's worth the appeal to me. I did wait in line and go through a lot of physical hardship and extreme dehydration, heat stroke, starvation, stuff like that to see Bernie Sanders speak. But that's probably it. And I'm not sure if I would, maybe at the height of being a volunteer for his campaign, I would have camped out overnight. But just, I look at things in my life and I'm like, who would I do that for? And I think, I don't know. Even my man Bernie, who I would do these extreme things to hear him speak. That's different though. That's like a person. That's a person who's part of a movement rather than to see a trailer before people see it online the next day. That's the part I don't get. But that fan fervor drives everything. at Comic Con and really in the industry. So just because I'm kind of outside of it and I don't get it, I don't get the sleeping outside and all that, I greatly admire those people. That's just amazing to have that amount of passion and excitement. And I think what happened was, yeah, at that first Comic Con, we did take the time to go to the Grimm panel and to do all these things, and we pushed ourselves trying to have these experiences. But what changed then was I really started writing more, and I realized most of that fervor kind of is saved for my own work. I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest fan of my own work, but that creative energy and that outlet is rationed now. What do you guys think? What has your experience been as fans and creatives? Have you noticed a change as you've gotten older, or maybe as you've gotten more experience, as you've written more, painted more, created more? How has that dynamic of the energy of consuming versus creating shifted? Because I'm curious about that in terms of how I've seen it change in myself. I still love the show Lucifer. I would have loved to gone to the Lucifer panel, but I'm lazy now. I would have gone to it only, I don't think there was one this year, but if they're like, oh, there's room, come on in, then like I'd go, okay, case in point. We were walking down a hallway a few years ago, and we loved the show Sleepy Hollow. The cast walked right by us, and my sister says to the guy who plays Ichabod Crane, we love you, Ichabod, and he goes, oh, thank you. Hello, see you in there. He's British. It's a terrible British accent, but whatever. And then we say, oh no, we can't get in. They capped the room. We can't get in. And he goes, oh no. And then he gets whisked in, and one of his aides looks around and goes, psst, come here, come here. And he gets me and my sister and our friend in. He's like, just come in with us, just come in with us. We ended up walking in with the cast, and we're standing there with this great view in the front because there's nowhere to sit because we're not supposed to be there. We're like, what just happened? Ichabod Crane pitied us, and his aide snuck us into the panel. And in reality, we weren't, the other reason we tried to get in and we couldn't, and we were leaving because we had somewhere we had to be within like an hour or an hour and a half, and we were in costumes. I think I was dressed as Katniss, and we needed to change, and we weren't going to have time if we stayed for the whole panel, so we had this gift given to us. And this is going to sound really bad to hardcore Sleepy Hollow fans, but we had this gift given to us, and we stayed for like a half hour, and then we had to go, and we just slipped out, and we felt really bad because we're like, this experience should belong to someone else. You know, there's someone else who's really upset that they're not in this room right now, and we're like stealing their life. Though that said, my sister was a massive Sleepy Hollow fan in its early days, so she was really excited to have had that interaction with Tom Meissen, I believe his name is, the actor. And it makes a great story to tell. So that's kind of my San Diego Comic Con update and experience, and it was great to see my friends from New Zealand and make new friends, and I'm very thankful that I went and that I had the opportunity to go. I hope to have the same opportunity next year, and if any of you guys are thinking of going next year, I hope to see you there as well. And I always recommend to people who get really envious over San Diego Comic Con that that you check your area and look for any comic conventions that are happening near you, because the smaller conventions are actually way more fun. I was just talking about how exhausting this is. You have to walk so far to get anywhere, and I consider myself a fit person. I'm not disabled in any way. I'm, as far as I know, very healthy and relatively young. I look after myself. I should, you know, and this is still like running a marathon to me. I'm still in intense pain in my feet and in my legs and stuff every day when I'm there. It's just exhausting. And then when you're doing things like signings and stuff, you don't necessarily always have time to eat or to get water. And there's lines for the bathroom, there's lines for everything, to the timing of how to get one place to another. You always have to factor in the fact that there are literally hundreds or thousands of nerds standing in the way between you and wherever it is you're trying to go. So if you're like me and you're a fast walker, you can't walk fast. You have to just kind of weave between people, but do it politely so you're not bumping anyone and not getting in their way. So it's a challenge. It is kind of like running a gauntlet in a marathon at one, but I still, you know, if that sounds worth it to you, then go. I'm not trying to diss San Diego Comic Con, by all means, go. Excuse me. I'm hitting my water glass behind me. So I thought you guys would appreciate that, and if you look at my Instagram or my Facebook, you can see some of my posts from San Diego Comic Con and see what I'm talking about. And it was a blast. I'm very happy that I went. And I will be seeing you guys soon from Ireland. Alright, I'm going to sign off now with something my sister got me from even further north in California. Some dinosaur poop. This officially is dinosaur doo-doo. That's right. So for me and dinosaur doo-doo, just want to remind you, I upload on an irregular basis. So if you subscribe, you'll get notified when I do upload a video, and then, yeah, you'll know, and you won't have to keep checking back. And also, if you find that you really like this vlog, you can go over to my Patreon, the link is in the description below, and you can sign up to support it for $1 a month. That's it, $12 a year. And it just helps me keep this thing going. So, again from me, and my dinosaur poo-poo, I bid you all very fond farewell, and please keep the questions coming, folks. I love doing this for you all. Take care.